Wow, my headset was off, so I was trying to explain some things. All right, well, we're live. Technical difficulties gone, hopefully. Let me turn off my turn down my mic. I think it's a little too loud. All right, so um, I'm to a point now in life where COVID hit. We had a great times in life after COVID. But I'm a software engineer, and with the current rate of with the current markets, finding a job as a software engineer is rough. It's very rough. Back in November, I lost my job. 3 months later, it took me 3 months to find a job, and I took a pretty good sized pay cut to find the job that I have. Um, I'm back remote, woohoo! But with that said, as my salary was increasing, I didn't make the best financial decisions in life. Um, so I'm kind of stuck with the decisions that I made. Um, and I can live with what I have. Thing is, I want to try to squeeze a little bit more lemonade out of the lemons that I have. So, with that said, several years ago, about 2.5, 3 years ago, I had solar panels put on my house. It was a great investment back then, but I'm starting to question today if it's as good of an investment as it was 2 or 3 years ago. Um, the reason being is back 2 or 3 years ago, when you had solar panels on your house, you had what was called a one-to-one solar buyback, or almost net metering, but it's not quite net. Um, when I had my solar panels, I was able to net zero, or very close to net zero on my electric bill. What that means is my solar panels were producing quite a bit of power, almost enough to pay for all of my usage. Um, Today, our power usage has went up. Our family has gotten bigger, so our power usage has went up. But as you can see here, as we flip through, we're using more power generally than what we are producing. Not every day, but most days. Um, Plus, on top of that, I've went and got an electric car, a Tesla Model Y. Um, so what you see here is sometimes we charge the car. That's what these big spikes are. So we charge the car. And well, since we have an electric car that we didn't have 3 years ago, and we have another family member that we didn't have 3 years ago, our electric usage has went up. And I don't want to add more panels to my house. Um, I don't want to add batteries to my house. And quite honestly, the one-to-one solar buyback plan doesn't exist anymore. I would love if it did. That would be great. It'd be somewhat of a solid investment still. But with the utility companies acting the way they are here in the state of Texas, um, there's no more one-to-one solar buyback. I can go sign up for an electric plan, get charged 16, 17 cents a kilowatt hour, and they only pay me 3 or 4 cents a kilowatt hour or wholesale. Um, so it's really not worth it unless you can figure out a way to rig the system in your favor. So what I've done here is I've signed up for a very specific electric plan. If it works really well. If it doesn't, well then we got another thing coming. Um, but as you can see here, for the last couple of weeks, I have tried. If you see my energy usage, you'll see something kind of odd. Um, you'll see that throughout the night I'm using quite a bit of power. Right, bright early in the morning, barely using any power at all. I'm using a lot of power here, and then I switched to using barely any power at all. Again, there's a reason for that. I signed up for a time of use plan, and the idea is anything after 9 p.m. is free. It's 100% free. Um, anything up till 7 a.m. is also free. So 9 to 7 is free. Okay. Now, the goal here is to use power only if I am generating the power to be used. Um, so I have been manually doing this for a few days. Um, so there's the 15th. Um, so this was yesterday. So yesterday I wasn't home, so I couldn't really pay attention to what was going on. And do I really want to pay attention to everything that's going on power-wise? No, I don't. But for all a week last week, I was kind of just monitoring my solar output manually, monitoring things. And if you notice, for the most part, I was able to stay net zero throughout the day. For the most part, not quite, or more than net zero. And the power plan that I'm on is tremendously expensive during the day, on the order of 32 cents a kilowatt hour. Very, very expensive. Um, like on a day like this, there's not much I could have done this like in this morning. So the idea here is during the mornings, right, when the sun's still coming up, like right here, I could have probably ran my air conditioning just fine. But all I've been doing is turning my air conditioner off, my central air. I've just been turning it off until I know that I generate enough power to power it. And then I charge my car. I've changed the settings to the charger of my car to only charge after 9. So what you see, or 9:30. So what you see here is throughout the day, boom, we're no longer using air conditioning anymore. We're using very little power from the grid. 9 o'clock rolls around, boom, my air conditioning turns on. And then 30 minutes later, 9:30 rolls around, boom, my car starts charging. Um, and then, of course, we didn't have power. We had a power outage. So I don't want to spend any money on what I want to do here. So the idea here is to proactively start offsetting as much as I can, right? So what I know right now, so if I go look at the status and hit live status, right now I'm streaming to you guys, my air conditioner's running, um, all of that, right? My actual central air is on right now. I know that my central air uses about 5,000 kilowatts, or 5 kilowatts. So my house sitting in idle is somewhere generally about 800 watts to 1500 watts sitting idle. That's including my desktop just sitting here idle as well. Um, so I know my air conditioning's running right now, which is more than fine, right? This is today so far. Um, so what I would like to do is build an application that can run on something as small as a Raspberry Pi, right? I think the Raspberry Pi would be a perfect, perfect animal for this. Trying to figure out why my energy. Okay, there we go. So Raspberry Pi is a cheap, cheap little single board computer. I've got one literally sitting right here in my hands right now. I bought it some time back, never used it. Um, and it's got some CPU power. It's not a very powerful computer, but it's more than powerful enough for me to check every 5 minutes or so how much power I'm using, or maybe even 1 minute, right? Maybe I'll check this every 1 minute. Okay, well, how much power am I producing? How much power am I consuming? Oh, look, my hot water heater is actually on right now, so, and then now it's not. So how much power am I producing, using, all of that, right? And then, so that would actually hit my Enlighten, um, my Envoy, right? So if you are familiar with Enphase systems have something called an Envoy, which is the main gateway for all of the solar to work, all of your microinverters. So if you look at how Enphase actually works, I don't want to go too in depth with it, but if you look at every panel here, every solar panel has what's called a microinverter underneath it. All the microinverters get wired together, and that all feeds into something called an envoy, and that envoy um, does all the software updates. It connects up to the internet, does all that kind of stuff, and it manages the whole solar array. So, with that said, I think there's 45 total panels here. Pretty good sized system. Um, the idea here is I don't want to add any more panels to compensate for all the power I'm using. I don't want to add any batteries because batteries are very expensive. We'll look at like the Tesla Powerwall. Um, I mean, just to solve my problem here, we're looking just. I mean, I don't know if this would even fully resolve my power. Um, we'll just see if it'll give me it wants my full address, so I'm not gonna give my full address while I'm streaming. Um, but I priced the Powerwall. It's something like $10,000 a unit. Freaking insane. So if I literally just wanted one unit to, help with this, it would cost me 10 grand at bare minimum, right? If I wanted two, say my house does require 2 units, it would cost me 20 grand. And the beauty of this is, right now I'm on a time of use plan from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. Um, I don't pay a dime for electricity, not even delivery charges, right? I don't pay a dime. Um, and then um, from 7 a.m. up to 9 p.m., I pay 32 cents a kilowatt hour of electricity delivered to me, which is freaking outrageous, right? Now, if we average it out, and the average person uses about 40% of their power at night, the other 60% gets used during the day. That still means on a 3,000 kilowatt hour month, so 3,000 times 0.6 times 0.32, that means I would be running a $576 electric bill. Freaking outrageous. Um, my old plan was 8.9 cents a kilowatt hour, um, but they also charge delivery costs, which is like almost 5 cents a kilowatt hour. So 8.9 plus 5 is 13.9 cents a kilowatt hour. I had free weekends, which really didn't make sense to us because we use the weekends just like we use during the week. So, but ultimately, if we did 3,000 kilowatt hours, I mean, uh, so 3,000 times 13.9, that ends up being $417 anyway, right? I have been paying $300 a month for electricity, right? And the thing is, right, if on the old electric plan, we had a solar buyback, and this happens regardless of who you're through, but we had a solar buyback. Well, they would give us wholesale rates for electricity, whatever wholesale is, a lot of times less than a penny. That's what the wholesale was. But if I purchase electricity, say I purchased 1 kilowatt hour of electricity, right? And that's 13.9 cents total. All right. Whenever I would sell electricity back to the grid, and they would give me that wholesale rate, the delivery charge, that 4 cents or 5 cents, whatever it is, that delivery charge, they would never refund, right? So I would literally sit here down the hole 5 cents on that kilowatt hour. Freaking stupid. So this new plan, it bundles the delivery charge and the power, the actual electric rate together, right? So at night I don't get charged a delivery charge. I don't get charged anything. It's free, zero. During the day I do get charged 32 cents, but there's no delivery charge. It's 32 cents flat. So, but they also give me 3 cents a kilowatt hour, which is better than the wholesale rate. So the idea here is if I use 1 kilowatt hour from the grid during the day, I don't care about the night, right? During the day, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., right? If I use 1 kilowatt hour from the grid, I need to be selling 10 kilowatt hours back to the grid, right? To kind of offset as close as I can. Um, or 11 really. So what I am going to do is build an application that will monitor a lot of different things. One of the things is um, what time of day it is, right? Uh, 9 a.m., 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. I don't care what time of day it is, right? Or I don't care how much power I'm using. I don't care anything while it's free. I honestly, I would like to use as much power as I possibly can during that time. So I will let the car charge. I will turn on the air conditioners. I will probably go even lower on the temperatures on the air conditioner um, during that free period. All of that to try to start offsetting as much as I possibly can to A, the free period. That's the best time, right? B, the time that I'm generating power, enough power to, power the whole lifestyle, right? And that last case scenario, pull from the grid. That should be my last resort is pulling from the grid, right? So I have three different buckets of electrical use that I can, because it really doesn't make sense if I'm sitting here generating all of this blue and selling it to the grid for 3 cents a kilowatt hour when I could be, saving 32 cents a kilowatt hour, So that's kind of the logic behind there. So this project I'm going to start. I don't know if I'm going to start it today, but if we look here, so Enphase, this tool right here has an API. It's called the Enlighten API. When I go look at this and look at the pricing of this, um, I probably won't be using this directly. It's not worth it because I have a rate limit of 1,000 hits per month for free. If I want more than that, it's 250 bucks a month, way more than what I'd be offsetting. So this doesn't make sense to me as a homeowner. But there is Enlighten Local, I think. I don't know if it's envoy.local. That's what it's called. Envoy. So this envoy.local is that gateway that is sitting attached to my house, right? Um, you can get an API key for this. I go into this little website right here, putting in your username and password for Enlighten, and they will give you back a JWT. I'm just going to punch that in right now. So I'm just going to punch it in right now. And, oops. Send bad token. Well, I will go and get a new token. One, please. So we'll go to this website right here. We log in. With our information here, we got to type in our system. So this should be a drop down, but it's not. But if I start typing in my name, it shows up here. Select my gateway, hit create token. We'll copy that. Here's my token. Hit submit. There we go. So behind the scenes, so we're going to end up doing a little bit of reverse engineering here. So behind the scenes, this right here has an API. It's just not documented. So we can see the 12.3 kilowatts being produced, which is if we go over here to the status of live, see the 12.3 here. So it's the same information, just laid out in a different way. It's coming directly from the system rather than through Enphase's API. Yeah, so we can see the 45 microinverters, all of that's here. So what we are going to do is we're going to do a little bit of reverse engineering here to start getting our readings from the solar panels, right? The next thing here is in my house, my thermostats are all the smart thermostats. They are the Resideo or Honeywell Home, what used to be Honeywell Home. So we'll say Resideo API. So if we look at the Resideo API, we can go and pick up a key that's free. And we have some things that we can do with our thermostats. So I can automatically hit the API, adjust my thermostats in my house. Great. I don't want to stop there though. So this will get me most of the way there, right? So it'll get me to where I can see how much power I'm, using. I can start estimating based off of if my air conditioner is on or not, how much power my air conditioning is using. I can start doing all that kind of like estimations, right? Because air conditioning during the summer, heat during the winter, we got to figure that out in the winter time as well. So we can start kind of doing that, a little bit of an estimate. Um, so there's that. The next thing was an open source, whoops, weather API. So this Open Meteo, this API is free. I think I can do up to 10,000 API requests an hour or something like that. Way more than I ever need for free. There's some other ones that we can do, but there's the free one that exists for personal use, right? Offers free access, non-commercial, right? That's not commercial. So part of this is we can see that cloud cover total right here, this right here, is one of the things that I can actually query. And this is the hourly variables. I don't know if we can get it from the 15-minute variables, but I know I can get it for hourly, which should be good enough. But we can see a plot of the estimated cloud cover. So we can see the estimated cloud cover. All of that looks great. So the idea here is, say I'm generating enough power right now, or it's one of my free periods, and I estimate that we're going to have, some cloud cover, or the weather says there's going to be some cloud cover, in an hour from now or 2 hours from now. Well, what I would like to do is, while I'm generating enough power, cool my house down a little bit more than I normally would, right? So normally I keep my thermostat at 68, so maybe drop it to 66 degrees. And then whenever that cloud covers comes, we know that we won't be generating enough power. I mean, this will be a percentage, right? So we can actually, over time, know, well, what does a 5% cloud cover actually do, right, to my solar production, or 10%, whatever that number is, right? What is, if the sun is out and I have 50% cloud cover, does that equate to 50% generation, or does that equate to, only 10% of my generation, right? We can figure that out over time. We can become smarter. And the idea is, while I'm generating this power, use more power, right? Because I have plenty of headroom here. Use more power while I have the headroom to prepare for when I won't be generating enough power, right? And then we know that during the evenings here, um, every day, the sun starts going down. It just seems to happen every day. I don't know why, but the sun starts going down. We stop generating as much power. Well, we could theoretically, because we know it's going to be several hours, and it does kind of get quite warm in here before, you know. So what I would like to do is cool down just a couple of extra degrees before we turn the air conditioning completely off for the rest of the day. And that's the idea here, right? It's just to offset it and maybe we can get rid of as much of this gray stuff. So this gray underneath here, well, actually add to it. So this gray underneath here is when I'm selling back to the grid at 3 cents a kilowatt hour. And this gray up here is when I'm buying back from the grid for 30 something cents a kilowatt hour, 32 cents a kilowatt hour. Like this day right here was almost a picture perfect day, right? Um, so I don't, and I honestly don't care, you know, and honestly, we will probably connect up to the Enphase API. I can only do 1,000 hits per month, but I do want to go and pull all of the reporting time. Actually, that right there was a picture perfect solar day, right? Just if I would have known, or if I was on this power plan, I wouldn't have been using any power right here. And then right up here at 7 o'clock, I wouldn't be using any power right here, and this would have been a picture perfect day. But see how, I mean, I net exported 25.5 kilowatt hours, but this day ended up probably costing me money. Matter of fact, on any power plant in the state of Texas, this day would have costed me quite a bit of money, even though I net exported 25.5 kilowatt hours. I generated more on this day than I used, and this day would have still costed me money, which I feel like is very unfair business tactics, and it just makes solar panels not financially viable in Texas at all, right? Um, Unless you have a battery to go along with it, and a free nights plan or something like that. So what I want to do, and all of this could be solved with a battery. Everything that I'm talking about could be solved with a battery. I just refuse to go spend $10,000 to $20,000 on top of the $70,000 I've already spent for the solar system. Um, so what I am going to do is just go ahead and build this application, try to solve the problem for the price of a Raspberry Pi. In this case, it was a Raspberry Pi 4B. I think they can be had for like $80 or so. I can't remember. I know it costs a lot less than $10,000. Um, let's just yeah, here you go. $70. You can get a Raspberry Pi. This looks almost exactly like the one I got. Um, the 1 gig. I think mine's more like the 4 gig, but $90. Certainly a whole lot less than 10 grand. Um, and as we kind of build this, I'm gonna try to open source as much of it as I can. Not everybody's going to have the exact same setup as I will. They're not going to have Resideo thermostats. Not everybody. Some people's going to have Google thermostats. Some people's going to have different things. A lot of people's going to have it Envoy or Enlighten. Um, Not everybody will. I don't know the other solar panel APIs, or even if the other people have APIs. Have no idea. But I'm gonna build this for my setup. I'm gonna try to make it in such a way that people can come in, add to it, modify it a bit, and maybe we can build this thing and flip the finger to the power companies, because this is ridiculous. I've got a $400 a month solar bill, and I've got a $300 a month electric bill, on top of that. So I'm paying $700 a month for electricity. That's more than one of my car payments. It's absurd. So what I would like to do is try to get that electric bill down to zero, with what I have. $400 a month is still kind of expensive for solar, but if I can do that and kind of get it out of the way, maybe what I can do is take the $300 a month that I was paying for electricity, throw that back into the solar bill, and pay the solar panels off a lot quicker. Um, I just want to start strategizing just to get out of debt. Um, so, or throw that back into one of the car payments rather than the solar bill, because the solar bill is only like a 1 point something percent interest versus what 8% on a car. So, and start snowballing things. So as time goes, I want to start building tools to make my life a little cheaper and use that money that I'm saving based off the tools to, maybe help somebody else, or, save that money and pay the next bill off. Because I'm just to a point where I feel like I'm just living as a slave to the bank, and I don't want to do that anymore. So, hope you guys um, understand where I'm coming from with this. I know you guys just sat through this kind of a rant about the reasons why. So I'm sorry if I come off a little fed up, but I am a little fed up. Um, and rather than crying about it and doing nothing about it, I fully intend to build my way out of it. So, um, so this is the options I have. The idea, I want to connect up to Enlighten API, this free plan here. I'm gonna pull all the system reports down. That's the idea. I'm gonna try to. I don't know how far back I can go, but I want to try to pull all my system reports down. Um, Once I get all my system reports, then that gives me more data that I can process through, hopefully in a cleaner way. I can then take and connect up to Envoy Local. I already got an API request. I already did some checking around, and yes, I can hit their API through this system. Um, so we'll pull this out, um, and we'll keep up with this probably every minute or so. Resideo, I have connected up to their APIs before, so we will use this in tandem. So this will kind of be a quick fix to just turn off and on the air conditioner, honestly. And then we'll go even smarter with cloud cover predictions and probably even temperature predictions and that kind of stuff, right? So we'll go Fahrenheit, miles per hour, and then we'll reload chart and we can kind of see, weather predictions and that kind of stuff. Um, and yeah, so that'll be the idea there. And I think what I'm gonna end up doing is pulling all the reports, going back in time. And this is the reason for wanting to pull all the reports. Go back into time, look at the historical weather data and historical production data, figure out what cloud cover actually did. I know cloud cover affects it a lot, but figure out how much it affects it historically, and then try to train up some kind of model or predictive some way to predict it. Um, and then from there, kind of articulate a game plan for the day um, within the Raspberry Pi. So the Raspberry Pi will turn on, connect up to my network, and just sit there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, monitoring my power usage, monitoring my power production, and monitoring the cloud cover. And adjusting literally just my air conditioning system in my house. As time goes, maybe I'll adapt it to be even more flexible to monitor not just the air conditioning but the lights, and maybe I'll put some smart switches on, say, my hot water heater, that kind of stuff throughout the day, and just offset as much as I can of my power usage. That's the goal. Um, but let's see what the air conditioning does by itself, because I'm zero money in. I'm already prepared to deal with air conditioner. All right, so I'm gonna stop uh, yapping on this, and I will be back on here in a little bit tonight, and we're actually going to start this project. Thank you guys.